Chapter 1. The whispering, clearing Thomas Green always felt most alive with a map in his hand and sunlight filtering through the trees above. That morning, as he stepped into the edge of the ancient forest, the birdsong seemed to urge him forward. He paused, breathing in the earthy scent of moss and leaves, and glanced at the hand-drawn map folded in his satchel. Let's see, if I want to connect Willowbrook to Fernfield, the shortest path cuts right through here, he muttered, tracing a careful finger along the dotted line he'd drawn. The whispering clearing sounds friendly enough, but as Thomas pushed past a curtain of ferns, he saw the clearing wasn't quite as peaceful as its name suggested. Sunlight pierced the mist in thin, slanted rays, illuminating strange stone shapes rising among the grass ancient markers, worn by centuries. Odd, he whispered, stepping closer. The stones were carved with swirling patterns, and a chill ran down his spine. He knelt, brushing away moss to reveal a faded symbol that looked like a coiled serpent. Suddenly, a voice broke the quiet. "What are you doing?" It was a girl, maybe a year younger than Thomas, perched in a tree above. She wore a faded blue scarf and held a notebook in her lap. "Exploring," Thomas replied, trying to sound braver than he felt. "I'm Thomas. I want to make a path between Willowbrook and Fernfield." The girl slid down and landed lightly beside him. "I'm Eliza. My grandmother says this clearing's cursed, you know. People avoid it," Thomas grinned. "Cursed, or just full of secrets waiting to be found?" Eliza's eyes sparkled. "Maybe both." She glanced at his map. "Mind if I join you?" Thomas hesitated only a second. "Sure. Two heads are better than one." Together they stared at the stones, neither quite ready to step deeper into the clearing. The wind rustled through the grass, carrying a whisper that seemed almost like a warning or an invitation. Chapter 2. The map and the maze. Thomas and Eliza circled the clearing, sketching the positions of the stones in their notebooks. When Eliza traced the pattern onto her page, she frowned. "They're not random. They make a spiral, see?" Thomas peered over her shoulder. "If that's true, maybe there's something in the center." They pushed through the tall grass, following the spiral's curve. Each step made the air hum with anticipation. Suddenly, Thomas stopped short. "Wait. Look." At the spiral's heart, a flat stone slab lay half-buried. Carved into its surface was a map ancient, but unmistakable. It showed two villages and a winding path between them, crossing right through the clearing. "Do you think someone tried to make the same path before us?" Eliza asked, kneeling beside the stone. "Looks like it, but why did they stop?" Thomas wondered aloud. A sudden crack echoed through the trees. They froze. Someone moving nearby. "Stay close," Thomas whispered, scanning the shadows. He braced himself, heart thumping. A stag burst from the undergrowth, its antlers catching the light before it vanished into the forest. Thomas exhaled. "Just a deer," he said, trying to laugh, but his voice shook. Eliza nudged him. "You're brave, but let's not be reckless. We don't know what else is out here." Thomas nodded, grateful for her caution. "You're right. Let's mark this place and come back tomorrow with better supplies." They retreated from the clearing, but not before Thomas made a careful note on his map. Stone spiral possible old path investigate further. Chapter 3. The Forgotten Path. The next morning, Thomas packed a satchel with rope, a compass, a flask of water, and his grandfather's old pocket knife. Eliza arrived with a coil of twine and a bag of apples. Together, they entered the clearing, spirits high despite the mist. "First rule of exploring," Thomas declared. "Leave a trail so we don't get lost." He tied the end of Eliza's twine to a branch at the clearing's edge. They started at the spiral, tracing the ancient map with their fingers. "This path leads north, toward the old willow grove," Eliza said. "Let's follow it," Thomas agreed. They pressed forward, every sense alert. The forest seemed to close around them, branches arching overhead and muffling the outside world. As they walked, they found signs of the old trail, a toppled signpost, a mossy milestone, even a broken wooden bridge spanning a narrow brook. Thomas tested the bridge. "Think it'll hold?" Eliza eyed the sagging planks. Only one way to find out. He crossed slowly, boards creaking beneath his weight. Halfway across, a plank snapped with a sharp crack. Thomas jumped forward, landing hard on the other side. "You alright?" Eliza called, worry in her voice. "Yeah, just lost a year off my life," Thomas joked, shaking out his nerves. "Your turn." Eliza grinned and tossed her bag over, then followed, stepping with the grace of a cat. "See? No problem." They laughed, but the tension lingered. Every step forward was a leap into the unknown.
Chapter 4. The shadow in the woods. As the day wore on, the forest grew darker. Sunlight barely reached the ground, and the air felt thick with secrets. "Do you hear that?" Lisa whispered, stopping suddenly. Thomas listened, at first only the wind. Then a low rumble, distant growl. He set his jaw. "Stay close." They moved quietly, hearts pounding. The growl grew louder. Through the trees, they glimpsed movement, a massive shape, dark and shaggy, prowling just beyond the brush. A bear, Eliza breathed, eyes wide. Thomas swallowed hard. "Don't run. Just back away slowly." They took careful steps, never turning their backs. The bear sniffed the air, then lumbered off, more interested in berries than explorers. When the danger passed, Thomas let out a shaky laugh. First, a cursed clearing, now a bear. What's next? Dragons. Eliza punched his arm playfully. "Don't tempt fate." They continued, nerves jangling, but determination stronger than ever. Thomas realized something important. Courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about moving forward, even when you were scared. That night, they camped beneath a tangle of roots, sharing apples and stories. Thomas looked up at the stars and promised himself he'd finish the path for both villages, and for anyone who dared to dream. Chapter 5. The Secret of the Stones. The next morning brought a surprise. As Thomas and Eliza followed the old trail, they came upon another stone marker, half hidden by ivy. This one was different. An inscription ran along its edge. "Can you read it?" Eliza asked, brushing dirt from the letters. Thomas squinted. "It's old, but I think it says, 'Kindness lights the way where shadows dwell.'" Eliza smiled. "Sounds like advice." They pressed on, and soon the forest thinned, revealing a meadow filled with wildflowers. In the center stood a willow tree, its branches trailing like green curtains. A narrow path, barely visible, led through the grass toward the far side, right in the direction of Fernfield. Thomas grinned. "We found it the shortcut." But as they stepped forward, a voice called out, "Who dares disturb the willow's rest?" They spun around to see an old woman standing in the shadows, wrapped in a cloak of leaves and moss. Her eyes were bright as gems. "We're explorers," Thomas said, summoning his politest voice. "We want to make a safe path between our villages. We mean no harm." The woman studied them, then smiled. "Many have tried. Few have succeeded. The forest tests those who enter. Why should I let you pass?" Thomas thought hard. "Because we want to help everyone, not just ourselves. If people can travel safely, they'll share stories, trade, and become friends. That's worth braving a little danger." The woman's gaze softened. "Courage and kindness, rare gifts. You may pass, but remember, respect the forest, and it will guide you." Eliza bowed. "Thank you." Together, they walked beneath the willow's sweeping branches, feeling as if the whole forest had just breathed a gentle sigh of approval. Chapter 6. The Bridge of Trust. Beyond the willow grove, the land sloped toward a wide, rushing stream. The old bridge here was nothing but rotting beams and tangled vines. Thomas frowned. "If we want a real path, we'll need to rebuild this." Eliza nodded. "But we're just two people." Thomas pulled out his map. "Not for long. If we mark the way, others can follow. Maybe we can get help from both villages." Over the next days, Thomas and Eliza worked tirelessly. They cleared brush, marked trees, and laid stepping stones across muddy patches. At the stream, they built a sturdy footbridge using fallen branches, rope, and clever knots. Villagers from Willowbrook and Fernfield, curious about the new trail, soon joined them. Some brought tools, others food and stories. Children ran ahead, laughing as they leaped from stone to stone. One evening, as the sun set in golden splendor, Thomas stood on the new bridge and watched both villages gather at its ends. "Do you think they'll use it?" Eliza asked softly. Thomas smiled. "I think they already are." The path, once a dream, now stretched clear and welcoming between two worlds. Chapter 7. The celebration and the promise. The first official crossing became a festival. Willowbrook's mayor brought honey cakes. Fernfield's elders played fiddles, and everyone marveled at the path's beauty. Thomas wore a wreath of wildflowers, blushing as villagers praised his courage and cleverness. Eliza grinned, whispering, "You'll be famous now." He laughed. "I'd rather be known for making friends." Later, as darkness fell and lanterns flickered along the new trail, Thomas wandered back to the Whispering Clearing. The ancient stones seemed less mysterious now, glowing softly in the moonlight. Eliza found him there, quiet and thoughtful. "What's next, explorer?" Thomas gazed at the sky, stars twinkling above the trees. "There's always another path to find, another mystery to solve. But for now, I'm happy knowing we made a difference." Eliza nodded. "Me too." They stood together, feeling the forest's gentle hush and the promise of more adventures to come. And as the night deepened, a soft breeze carried a whisper through the clearing, not a warning, but a blessing for those bold enough to listen.